And yo, yes, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is on. Today is Thursday, and the reason why I can say that is because we are live, so we don't have to date this. You already know what date it is if you're tuning in right now. Maybe later on you can check it out and see that it was Thursday, even if it's a Saturday or Sunday. But as it stands right now, we're here live because it's fight week. Yeah, we talked about the NFL on Monday when we did our show, but today is fight week. We're going into this Saturday. Canelo Alvarez, you got to give him first billing. He's the A side. And Bud Crawford getting together in Las Vegas. Actually, is it going to be Las Vegas?
Yes.
Yes, it's in Las Vegas this Saturday, and it's a huge fight. Didn't have to happen, but it's happening. Was good.
What's happening, man? I'm excited for this fight. I know a lot of people might even consider it a mismatch, but this is a big fight. This is not exactly Leonard going up to face Hagler, but it's in the same ballpark, because of the weight difference. So I'm hoping for a great fight. I'm excited for it. I don't know what was the next biggest fight since this one.
Oh, I'm looking in the comments because now Carlos showed up in the comments. So I put anyone who wants to come in live, I already put the link in the chat. So if you want to come in, jump in with us, you can go ahead and do that. If you just want to leave messages in the comments, go ahead and do that too. You must be a boxing fan. Most people respond well with our boxing show. On Saturday, we're going to do a live along with the show, kind of a fight party kind of thing. So everything is going to go into that. But as far as Leonard and Hearns, the first fight at least,
Did I say Hearns? I meant Hagler.
Oh, Hagler. Okay, so Leonard and Hagler, when Hagler was at the end of his career pretty much, and Leonard was coming back from that long delay being off, people were excited because it was boxing and the names involved, were huge names. Leonard trying to do the impossible, the golden boy before he ended up getting injured against Hearns with the eye and all that, tried to come back again, and then he retired. You know how it goes with him, back and forth, retiring, not retiring. And then Hagler just being as a dominant force as he was, only one person with the distance with him, and his 12 title defenses, and that one title was that one win was Roberto Duran, the great Roberto Duran with the distance with him.
But anyway, Coach, are you hanging from the ceiling? You're upside down, buddy.
You're talking to Coach. Coach showed up. Haven't seen him in a long time.
What's up? Am I upside down?
Yeah. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Are you hanging from your feet from the ceiling?
That's a
you work out?
How's that?
You're sideways.
Well, for me, he's right. He's right side up for me.
He's right side up for me now.
Yeah, he's good for me right now.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now. What's up, Coach? Welcome.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good,
man,
good.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've had a fight of this magnitude, or at least perceived magnitude, because you haven't been in, so I know it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, it totally has, man. I'm trying to fix my tablet here, but yeah, this is one of the great ones, man. It reminds me of when Sugar Ray fought Hagler's Hearns when he moved up to fight.
But I just said that.
Right.
Did you?
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Okay.
I said I don't know if it's in if they're the same caliber fighters, but they're in the same ballpark.
Definitely.
Yeah. Certainly in the same ballpark. There are a lot of questions when it probably shouldn't be questions because it shouldn't be happening anyway. Neither fighter needed this fight. At least Canelo really pretty much can just go into the sunset. He doesn't need this fight. But he's the one who's trying to go after greatness because everything in terms of pressure seems to be on Canelo. He loses, bro, that's a huge loss. If he just gets by a little bit, damn, his reputation, even though it's towards the end of his career, I'm thinking that Bud has everything to gain, not too much to lose other than his own.
I agree with you 100%. That's the only edge I give Canelo is he has the most to lose because we all know that. Well, I know that Crawford is the better fighter. He's the better technician. But putting on that weight in the later rounds, and we all know about Canelo's body shots.
Yep.
So that's going to wear him down a little bit, but. People just rise to the occasion sometimes, and Crawford's that guy.
So I think both boxers have questions to answer. Obviously, what is Spence going to look like at 168 pounds? We don't know what he's going to weigh in at. Is it going to be 168? Is it going to be 162, 165? whatever it is, it's going to be more than he's ever fought at before. So he's going to have to answer those questions. How does he handle carrying that extra weight? And is it all muscle? Is he too muscular? He looks very ripped, and I've never seen him. I mean, he resembles Roy Jones to me, and I've never seen anybody else resemble Roy Jones like that. And with Roy almost had an 8-pack, not a 6-pack. And Terrence looks like he has an 8-pack. So, obviously Terrence has questions to answer about the weight. Can he handle Canelo's power? But also, I think Canelo has questions to answer. He doesn't cut the ring off very well. Is he going to be able to close the distance and apply pressure? Probably mental pressure would be more important than actual pressure. But, we've seen guys move away from Canelo with almost no resistance. He's been boxing for 20 years and hardly ever cuts the ring off.
Well, he's been in my last 2 fights. I think he's been losing a step, and he showed that he's flat-footed when he fought Laura. So I think they're gonna get that Laura game plan with Crawford, where you're gonna be boxing and doing moving side to side. I hope and that Crawford doesn't trade with him, but like you said, he put in that muscle. He might just trade with him. But the thing to beat Canelo, and I saw this a long time with Floyd and Laura. Is jab and move. He's flat footed. He digs in to throws those body shots, and those guys are gone.
See, when I'm thinking with Bud skill wise, being able to change from southpaw to orthodox and just do it so seamlessly, he prefers being southpaw. He does have some pop, but the one thing Canelo can rely on is his chin. He can just walk through a lot of what Bud has to offer. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but with his chin and going by his resume and seeing what he's done, not of late, but he's done it in his career. He's able to take those shots. And for a fighter moving up who started off at 130 and coming to the 168 class where that's the limit, but not the weight he has to be, he'll be around 163. He'll be comfortable. He'll be good. But if I'm thinking that if he could walk through that, Bud is going to have to box because all he has to do is win the fight. He doesn't have to get a knockout. He doesn't even have to look good. He just has to be good enough for the judges to see that there was a clear winner or a winner period between he.
That's the question, though. You're saying he doesn't have to look good. I don't know if he doesn't look extremely good, if the judges will give it to him.
See, that's the thing about it. Does he have to look extremely good just to get he can't win a split decision?
Well, look, Bevo basically took him to school, and it was still a split decision.
Yeah, they were trying to get Bevo.
I see is that Bud is coming with the promoter, right? So we all know that if you were fighting for Don King back in the day, you were going to get that decision. I lost some big-time money, and I'm Puerto Rican, when I bet De La Hoya against Tito Trinidad. I had De La Hoya winning that fight, but because Trinidad was a Don King guy, so now I'm seeing the same thing now with Crawford. He's hanging out and working out with the Ali guy. What's his name? The Middle Eastern guy?
Turkey.
The Turkey, yeah. So I just think if Crawford is still, I don't think there's going to be a knockout. But I think if he has enough punches and skills, they're going to give him the decision.
Yeah, I think I see that happening, and because going by he can't win a decision or he can't win a sloppy fight means that he can't win a split decision because that means it's going to be close. I know I hate to rely on the politics of the boxing because you have the right manager, the right promoter. You want the men to decide the fight, but we know the history of boxing. We know how it goes. I'm thinking that Bud being able to box him orthodox southpaw, like I've already mentioned, but he has to do that for the entire fight. That's difficult. And as you mentioned, Coach, putting that weight on, it's going to tell on you in the 6th, 7th, 8th round. Canelo's going nowhere. If there's going to be a knockout, let's be realistic. It's going to be Crawford getting knocked out. I would freaking drop dead if Canelo got knocked out. I mean, this guy's been hit by some bombs from big dudes, little dudes, everybody in his whole career. The dude hardly been buzzed. So I don't think it just stops at one fight. He gets slower, a step slower, maybe even 2 steps by now. But as far as Bud has to box all fight long in order to make this, in order to give himself the best chance. Fight smart, which we know he can do. Let's hope his pride doesn't get in the way where he decides he wants to get down and dirty, because the next comparison I was going to make was Joe Louis and Billy Conn beating him for 12 rounds. 13th round came. He decides he wants to go for a knockout. He said he got his Irish up and he got his Irish knocked the hell out. And that was it.
That is a good example. Yeah, no, that's another fight that stuff. And same thing with the guy Bob Foster when he came up to fight Ali.
Fight Ali or for Joe Frazier.
Yeah, just it's hard for a little guy to beat a real good big guy. You know, they said, but don't get me wrong, Vander Holyfield proved everybody wrong. He's done it, plenty of times. And he put on that muscle with training with Lee Haney.
So what do you think of, because he's been fighting at a lower weight, but is he really that much smaller? And when you consider Bud has the wrestling background, he's got that wrestling strength. Guys get in there and they can't move him. What do you think? What do you make of that?
Well, that comes from core strength. That's the thing that I tell a lot of my kids to train, because everybody's worried about your bicep, everybody's worried about your chest muscles and stuff. But I tell kids to have a strong back and a strong ab. That's going to make you a fighter, because those are the guys that are hard to move. And you hit it on the thing with the wrestling background. He's going to be able to move Canelo, because a lot of people, don't get to bully Canelo. He's going to surprise a lot of people. But is he going to be doing it for 6, 7 rounds? Like he just said. That takes a toll on you. But he's going to do it. I guarantee he's going to bully him a little bit.
Well, we've seen some of those fights, or even some of those videos of Bud years ago, even recently, doing the deadlift. That's perfect for the core because of that legs and the collapsing of fighters. The way I know that Canelo at some point or another is going to try to use that and just do it throughout the fight, doing the collapsing on him, trying to take care of those legs in addition to the punches, the body shots, taking care of those legs as well. But going back to that analogy, or just the comparison between Joe Louis and Billy Conn, look at that as an example of the weight not mattering as much as long as the skills paid the bills. Joe Louis was a little bit slower foot, but he knew how to cut the ring when he finally got you. Billy Conn, and believe it or not, Billy Conn was officially 174 pounds for that fight. I don't know why it was official, because he really was 169 pounds. And Joe Louis was 199. That's a huge difference. And he was able to outbox him for the entire 12 rounds, but it's a 15-round fight. And once again, he got his Irish up. He got knocked out in the 13th round because Joe Louis's power was Joe Louis's power. I hope that doesn't happen to Bud, but that scenario I can see working its way into play.
Yeah, the way I see the fight, almost like you said, he's going to be outboxing him, right? He's going to get the thing. It's what's going to happen in the later rounds, the championship rounds, that I give a little edge to Canelo, because he's been doing it for so long. But if his foot speed, if he lost a step, because we all know you could age overnight in boxing. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a fight where you're going to tell in the middle rounds where this fight is going. But I don't see a knockout. I don't see maybe a knockdown from a body shot or something. But I see this going the distance. They got concrete jaws, both of them. They have been tested, both, with their chin.
So something I've been seeing basically from Canelo fans is they're saying he hasn't been going hard in his last few fights. They're saying he could have knocked out Berlanga if he wanted to. He could have knocked out John Ryder if he wanted to.
Nope.
What do you think?
Well, my personal opinion, when you see fighters in the ring and they're not, and they're just coasting, that's age. That's age. I remember seeing I forgot who was the fighter. It was Berto Duran, and he was fighting. I forget the kid that he was fighting, and they were like, "Oh, Berto Duran knocked him down and stuff." The kid that broke his neck, I forget the guy's name. Pazienza. And everybody's like, "Oh, he did knock down Pazienza and stuff, but he just couldn't finish him." And the thing is, once you lose that step, once you think. Like my coach used to tell me, and I experienced it when I got older. You see the openings, but you just can't finish it. And I see that with Canelo. People don't know he started at 14. I think even younger than that. So he got a lot of rounds in that body.
Yeah.
His first fight was at 15 years old as a professional. Even though I don't care if you put him in with a bunch of car drivers or whatever, all of it added up, and that also meant that he got into the blue chip side of it, the A side of it, a lot earlier than most. So he's been fighting nothing but A side fighters, or being the A side himself, That means he's been fighting a lot of competition until this point where he's just picking and choosing now. He believes he has the right to do that because of the longevity and the time he's been doing it. But, that wear and tear, and as you said, fighters can get old overnight. We've seen that so often. They show these clips of how great they're doing in camp, and then as soon as the fight starts, they're just kind of plodding around and can't pull the trigger, and you wonder what the heck is going on, and then they get beat, sometimes knocked out completely, and we're surprised. Now, Bud is not going to knock out Canelo. That's just not – I'll put everything on that. But I think I'm putting $100 on Bud, period. Win or lose, I'm just putting it on him because I believe he can get
it. We have our first prediction.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting $100 on Bud, but I don't give a damn how he wins. Get the damn decision. If you have the skills to pay the bills, get the decision. My it ain't little, but the $100 is going on Bud because I'm confident enough that he has the toughness, he has that dog in him that we always talk about. Canelo, it's not like Canelo doesn't. It's just that you can't do anything about it as you get older. As you get older, you can't all of a sudden, now you're up for the fight. Now you're up to, you can chase a guy down when you didn't chase him down before.
So, yeah, Canelo's a couple years younger, but he's been, like you mentioned, he started when he was, 15?
15.
So he's been boxing for 20 years. That's 20 years of training camps. 20 years. What he's approaching 70 fights.
67.
That's a lot of wear and tear. Not to mention, he's put his body through steroids and not having steroids, and who knows what kind of adverse effect that has on the body.
That's a hell of a damn point. People laugh and just gig on that part of it, but really your body might rely on it, especially as you get older. You lose testosterone. Do you get those extra testosterone boosts the legal way or even just go back to the old way? I doubt he's going to do that, but yeah, how does that work when you was hyped up on it before and you're not hyped up on it now? And, you haven't had a lot of tough fights lately, so you probably didn't need it, but now you probably do need it. I'm still thinking, neither fighter needs the fight. Bud needs it more because he wants to make a legacy. Canelo's legacy is already established. He's going to the Hall of Fame first ballot. We know that. He's made history everywhere. But, I'm just thinking that Bud has enough to bring skill-wise, and I think he does have the discipline, even though he does have the dog in him, to fight and make it, trade blows when he doesn't have to. He may do that, but even if he doesn't, I think he shouldn't. Unless the opportunity is there to pot shot if it's there because, Canelo is slow of foot. Can he keep it up for 12 rounds, though? Because it's going 12. If Bud is going to win, it's going 12. If Bud is not going to win, it probably didn't go 12.
Now, I've been listening to the internet a little bit. Have you heard that Bud hurt his shoulder?
Uh-oh.
I saw a couple things.
I hadn't seen it.
I saw he was at a press conference and he was joking. Didn't you hear I hurt my shoulder? And they're like, which one? He's like, I don't know, maybe the left, maybe the right, maybe both.
Even before they came out, there was training camps. But I was trying to tell a buddy of mine, no fighter, when you train big time and you train hard sparring partners, you never go into a fight 100%. And that's the thing that people don't understand, that they think all these guys, when they come to these championship fights,
they're beat up.
Nobody's 100%. Nope. I fought, and I got fighters of mine that go into fight and they're like, hey, coach, my arm hurts, this and that and stuff. And I said, then quit boxing. And they go, why do you want me to quit boxing? I said, because you know what? If you're going to wait till you're 100%, you're never going to be ready. And the kid ended up winning the fight, and he's like, oh, I didn't even feel that thing. But, it did bug me. I said, that's part of fighting, brother. I don't know how many times I've been in a fight or I trained somebody that's been hurt, and you don't say about it. You don't say nothing until after the fight. The only thing for me is that if he did hurt that shoulder, if he did hurt that thing, it's not going to hurt the first couple rounds because of adrenaline. But that's why I give Canelo here. Here's my prediction. I think the Canelo, if he does have an injury or he packed on a lot of weight, I think Canelo's going to put it out in the later rounds. So I see him like a split decision. Like I said, no knockouts here.
So everything I'm saying is Bud is not going up to 168 pounds. He walks around 180, perhaps 185. So he's really not going up. He's just not losing as much as he normally has to. And
without a doubt.
He's fighting at a higher weight, yes, but his body
is walking around.
We maybe can call him a weight bully, because if he walks around at 180, beating up on 135, 140, 147 pound fighters, nowadays you get called a weight bully. But I
That
think
happens with everybody.
Andre Ward made a great point. He said when he went up, he went to see Mick, is it Mickey or
Mickey
Mackie?
Shieldstone.
Yeah, and he
Mackie
had him do the
Shieldstone, yeah.
DEXA contest, and he's like, I don't know why you think you're moving up in weight. You're 188 pounds. You got to lose some weight. You got to get down. You're not moving up. You're still going down. So I think Floyd, Bud not having to drop 30 pounds, instead maybe dropping 15, that's going to help him out.
But
No,
I'm
without a
also
doubt.
thinking
People don't know this. Professional fighters walk around 20 to 25 pounds over the weight. Look at Haney. Haney's a weight bully. He's a dude that's walking around 160 pounds,
from a
170
teenage
pounds.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, people
This
don't
guy
know
was
that.
craziness.
But when I was training David Diaz, every fight we had, he was losing 10 pounds before these fights, before these tournaments, and people don't understand. A lot of these guys, even with the professional fighters, they cut a ton of weight. I just saw some kid at the gym. I forget his name. He's a contender from Milwaukee, and he fights at 168 pounds. Daniels, and he was sparring with heavyweights. And I said, dude, what are you weighing? He's weighing 190. And it's a new generation. These guys are cutting weight. So, like he just said, he's not really cutting weight. He's just keeping the weight that he's used to cutting and just turning it into muscle and getting ready for the fight. You 100% about that.
But most fighters typically try to go and walk around at 10% of their fight weight. Like if you're like 120 pounds, you want to go 12 pounds over that only. You go 132 pounds, so you have to cut down 120 pounds or whatever it is. Typically, they try to stay within that. And I guess that's the way it's supposed to be.
The only one that really did that, and he did a great job with it, was Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather always stayed on point. He always stayed at the gym. But
I think
nowadays,
Bernard Hopkins too.
but now
Yeah.
that's another
Discipline.
dude. He's
The
always
discipline is the reason why.
right. But now the new days, guys, are, I don't know if it's the carb, I don't know if it's the food, but like I said, I saw these guys work out recently a couple months ago, and everybody that was fighting was 20 to 25 pounds more. So it's a thing. It's a new generation. So, like he just said, you're right. He's already had that weight. He just turned it into muscle.
Now, does it matter though? Now that you have to fight with that weight for 12 rounds in an actual boxing match, even though sparring sessions can get tough, they're not boxing matches. The gloves are lighter. You move around in the ring a lot more because now you have somebody who really wants to put you out of there, especially someone like Canelo who could put that physical and mental pressure on you. That's what he has to get accustomed to. And I hate to have to find out if I'm him that, damn, in round 8, when everyone's kind of fatigued a bit, Canelo probably even more so fatigued, you realize that your legs are burning and you got to push through it. Now, he's been in sports like wrestling where you felt the burn. In boxing, you feel the burn and you have to push through it. But when you're fighting a bigger guy and he's continuing to come after you the same way he started in the first round, mentally, I'm still thinking that Bud is a mental dog, but until we know against this kind of a fighter, is he really going to be able to be a dog on that level?
No, I agree with you 100% because you're right. When I saw these guys sparring, even at this heavyweight, at the later rounds, they were dying. They were just fatigued. And he says, well, once I cut the weight. But that's the thing. You're right. Now you got to carry that weight to the championship rounds. And don't get me wrong, your heart has to pump now harder at that weight than it does at a lower weight. And people don't understand that. People don't understand the physics of bone structure and stuff. That's why when you get guys that could fight at a heavyweight, they could be short, they could be whatever. It's that bone structure. It's just how your body is made. But if you got a small frame and you put all this weight on it, now you're packing a lot of weight that you got to carry. So a lot of coaches don't understand that. Because I tell guys, there's small guys at the gym that could go to that heavyweight because of that bone structure, all how they work out. And then I got tall, skinny guys that have a smaller bone structure. And I'm like, dude, you can't add weight. It's slowing you down. But people don't understand that. They just think boxing is just a training thing. But no, it has to do so much with physics and your body and biology. It's just not just putting on weight and taking out weight.
Yeah, that's just half the battle. The weight is almost always half the battle. Getting comfortable
Always.
at that weight, that's going to prove if you can handle it or not, because you have to still feel comfortable just making the weight. You just can't think that everything's pretty much taken care of. You have to make the weight, feel comfortable at that weight, and still do the things at that weight that you were doing at lighter weights. You could probably take a little bit off because, just getting heavier in a heavier class, you're probably going to throw less, but you still have to be able to perform at an optimum level at that point.
No, I like I said, Crawford is an athlete. I think he's strong enough to fight Floyd, even if he, I mean, not Floyd, Canelo at a lower weight, but he, like, he put on all this muscle, so well, we'll see. But you know what? These guys pay a lot of money to, these personal trainers and nutritionists and stuff. So if you do it right, and if you get the right guy behind you, I've seen people move up plenty of times with the right person. Now, if you're going to eat your way up, no, it's not. It's not going to work out.
It has to be more organic within the regimen.
So I have a question for you, Coach, because Travis and I, we've talked on and off about this fight in the past, and this came to mind. If Crawford wins on Saturday, and he's going to continue fighting, and there's no rematch with Canelo, do you think he should fight David Benavidez?
Oof.
Well, okay. Now you choked me up. Remember what I just
for real?
Remember what I just said about bone structure?
Yeah.
David is a big dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a big super middle.
Yeah, David.
And light heavy.
I heard somebody, because I used to live in Phoenix and stuff. He spars heavyweights. So this dude is a monster. That'll be like a great fight, but I got David all the way.
Oh yeah, you'll be crazy not to think David couldn't beat Bud at that kind of a weight.
I'm just saying, like, if Crawford beats Canelo, who else would be out there for him? Like, is he gonna go down and fight Boots? He's not gonna.
That'll be a waste. That'll be a waste.
That's what I'm saying. Who is out there? Does he go up to fight Bivol? That's probably an even worse matchup, just because Bivol's skills.
Virgil Ortiz.
He may not be the monster that Benavidez is, but his skills.
Like you said.
He's got better skills. So I don't know. Or does he retire?
I don't think Bud is retired. He's like that old school fighter that's just gonna keep fighting like Bernard Hopkins until he finds that there's no more challenge and stuff.
His mom might go around saying, "I got $10 for anybody that can whip my son."
Yeah, I know, right? Like back in the day. But you know what? He's getting. I've heard he's getting $10 million for this fight, and Canelo's getting $150 million. I can't verify that.
I saw 50.
Huh? Well, I heard
50.
he's going to get up to 50, but I guess his base salary is going to be $10 million. Well, going by this Netflix deal with all of these eyeballs that are going to be on there, I'm sure there's extra money to kick back a little bit later. But yeah, I guess his best base pay is $10 million and then $150 million for Canelo, and it's because Canelo still puts butts in seats. He's the reason why, and Bud's willing to acquiesce to dare to be great. And then if there is a rematch, he's going to get his share anyway. He believes in himself. A lot of fighters can say that verbally, but it's very difficult to get in the ring and say exactly what you believe when we see otherwise. Charlo did a lot of talking before the Canelo fight, and we saw how he did that fight. You don't want to call people a coward in the boxing ring because those dudes aren't cowards, but he did not live up to any of the hype he said he was going to do or the things he said he was going to do when he got in the ring with Canelo. Now, going back to the weight deal, when you gain more muscle, as you already know, I think it's basic science, that basic biology, that the bigger your muscles are, the more oxygen you're going to need for them to work at an optimum level. That means you're taking in more air, and that can fatigue you quick. Now, I'm not even going to go by the nerves and all that stuff. They've learned and fought enough to be able to cope with what they're doing. Now, they know the coping mechanisms of how to just do everything. They're way past that. But as far as this physical part, those muscles that have to be at an optimum level, and for Bud, particularly for 12 rounds, because Canelo's going nowhere. He won't even get discouraged. I think he might even get reckless if he finds himself losing later in the fight. He'll get reckless because he can. He has the chin to do it.
Yeah, like you said, your heart and your lungs and stuff has to work harder, and if your body's not conditioned to do that, you're gonna fatigue. But I had a story. I can't think of the kid's thing. They were gonna fight Pernell Whitaker at one time, and he was the champion. And Pernell was gonna get over $1 million, and the guy was only gonna get like $50,000. But the trainer at the time, Pat Lakoska, from Sheridan Park, he was saying, "Hey, you know what? It's not about the money. It's about winning that belt and then getting that money." Well, they didn't win, but I didn't know that. I was a young guy as a pro fighter, and I didn't know that the champion is always going to make the A side is always going to make the money.
Always.
Right? So, but I didn't know you got to take that chance because the least guy that they pay or whatever they pay, that's one of the reasons I guarantee that Canelo took that fight, because he didn't want that fight for a long time. But if somebody's offering me, $10 million or plus, 100
150
million
million.
dollars, forget about it.
You got to fight.
You got to fight.
You got to fight, man.
It's a money business,
It's generational for him. I mean, for anybody, 150 million would be generational. By the way, I see people who are in the chat. Once you go in the chat, I put the link in there just in case you might want to come in and discuss the fight, Bud and Canelo fighting this Saturday. So go to the comments and check out the link if you're going to do that. But getting back to it.
Do you guys make anything of Canelo bringing Boots in to help him prepare him?
Yeah. That's the fighter that most resembles what Bud does, because he does switch. Now, it may not be like Bud completely, but he's a stronger version of Bud. So I think it does matter when you have someone. It's one thing to have a fighter who can go southpaw, doesn't do anything at southpaw for the sake of being a southpaw. It's another thing when you have a fighter who could fight a whole fight at southpaw if he needed to, even though he's generally an orthodox fighter. So now, you get that switch, the natural switch, not someone who's saying, I'm going to go left hand now, I'm going to go southpaw now, and you throw 3 jabs and just go back to being an orthodox fighter. Bud is going to come in and southpaw because he prefers to do that after that injury he had years ago that got him to use a southpaw. It seems like he's gotten more comfortable with that. It's just that he's just as effective as an orthodox fighter.
I think Bud will change on the fly too. If you're in a position, he'll throw from orthodox, or he'll switch up. He's not going to just stay southpaw or orthodox. Depending on what's in front of him, he'll switch up accordingly.
Yeah, he adapts pretty well. But I'm training a young fighter, and I always tell the guy, we always got to bring hard sparring for the fight, because if you can make training hard, the fight is easy, right? And there was a couple guys that he didn't want to spar with or he didn't want to work out with, and I said, you don't understand, dude. The better competition that you get in that ring, the dude's gonna look slow to you. I said, I've trained plenty of champions, and every kid that I trained, I always put hard sparring. I remember Freddie Roach. He had a thing where he would give guys extra $1,000 if you knocked Manny down.
Yeah,
he didn't want that soft sparring. And don't get me wrong, I don't believe hard sparring all the time. You got to take your breaks. But if you're training for a fight of this magnitude and this kind of money, you need to bring the best, and that's just going to help you for the fight. And you always hear Ali always had a great boxing camp. You always brought all the guys in.
He had Larry Holmes as a sparring partner, a chief sparring partner, a future champ that came out to be one of the greatest champs of all time. He was just another guy on the list. And I remember they talked about how they were stunned how Larry Holmes was able to handle him. But then they also mentioned that Ali would let some of his partners handle him because he wanted to get those messages of pain against the ropes so he'd be ready for his opponent. And we saw how that worked with George Foreman. Everyone knew him as a dancer, but when he got against the ropes against George Foreman, people on the outside who weren't in the camp was like, what are you doing? I think even Angelo Dundee, who was in camp, said, what the hell are you doing? But, we saw how it worked out, and he ended up winning. But, yeah, man, those messages of punishment that you need to accept in order to prepare for that top competition, because those guys on that level, they spar top fighters. That's why Boots, a top fighter, is there with Canelo now.
Yeah, did Crawford bring anybody? I didn't hear him.
I don't think he brought anybody special, unless he's just kind of keeping it quiet.
I didn't hear anything about him bringing in the top fighter.
But sometimes, like going back, I also had a fight in Frez Oquendo, and one of the things about Frez, he was a heavyweight, and I didn't have a lot of guys that were really good to compete with him. But what I did was I threw a lot of guys at him. So what we did was he would go in with Andy Anwar and Dave and Elijah and just keep throwing guys at him, because there was nobody his caliber. But I just kept throwing guys at him, and that's another thing I do with other fighters, because you're so good and he's a national champion, so there's not going to be too many people around his caliber. But what I just kept, every time he got tired, I threw a new guy in, I threw another guy in when they were fresh. And that's how you got to wear down these good fighters, because the competition, there's no competition for them.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yep, that's exactly what it does. And I did that. I trained fighters. I trained amateur fighters. I did the same thing. The week before the fight, or the Monday before the Saturday fight, I would have them fighters shuttle in, like every round or every 2 rounds, shuttle in. And there was times I also let them fight 2 5-minute rounds to see how they get it. And it seemed to have worked out. They've never had a problem conditioning wise. If they lost fair and square. It wasn't ever because of conditioning. And as an amateur, it's almost always about conditioning.
Yeah, that's again. I tried to get that to people's head. Everybody wants to learn the next move they see on YouTube and this and that. And I tried to tell people it's conditioning and that jab and movement. And people just don't understand it's that simple in the amateurs and straight punches. But that's what I tell people. If you could hustle some guy for 3 rounds nonstop, I tell people it's a sprint. Where pro boxing, it's that distance. And back in the day when I was young, it was 15 rounds. So people were getting hurt. So they cut it down to 12, and it's still tough. Anything over 10 is tough.
Yeah, I remember back then when the elimination fights were 12-round fights. They'll have an eliminator like with Ken Norton or whoever was an eliminator 15, fight for the champion. They will have 12-round fights. Now the 12 rounds is for a championship fight. In fact, if we had 12 rounds years ago, well, Billy Connors, the new heavyweight champion of the world, the first light heavyweight to do it. He did everything in 12 rounds and got knocked out in the 13th round. So, Yeah, man, boxing has changed, man. But for this here, just thinking about the mentality going in here, and things you can't control like Mother Nature, this is what Canelo cannot change or control. Mother Nature just being an older fighter, which has to start slipping. Been fighting as a pro since he was 15 years old. He's taken on some of the best in the world. In fact, his resume is ridiculous. People don't like him. They complain now about him, but he fought a lot of fighters and he's beaten them. I know there's some fights he probably lost, but still got the benefit of the doubt. But he still fought those guys, and there's a lot of them. And so, but at some point, that wear and tear creeps in, and it looks like these past few fights, it wasn't him taking his foot off the gas pedal. It's Mother Nature saying you don't have it to put it on the gas pedal anymore, not at the level you once had it. Crawford, hey, he's no spring chicken either. He's older, but he's had fights as well. But coming up from the lighter weights up here, he just has to outbox him. I mean, it sounds so easy. It's not that damn easy. It's not going to be that easy. He just has to outbox him, keep him at range. He has the physical ability, the physical attributes in terms of longer arms and just a bit taller. But Canelo's dealt with that before.
Yeah, so you guys, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, with Canelo's background and all the fights that he have, I think if he loses this fight, I think he retires. There's no rematch. And with $150 million, you just could take off.
Yep. Pajamas.
There's no need to fight no more. Because one of the things, when I saw Roy Jones one time, when he was fighting Tarver, I saw some dudes putting silk socks on him and this and that. I was telling my dad, as a fighter, you get that thing from Rocky. Once you become civilized, you lose it. And these guys with that kind of money and stuff, it's hard to get out of bed when you got all the money in the world, man.
I see Marvin Hagler said it too.
But Hagler was one of those guys that was able to stay focused even when the money was there. He was
something still about it's hard to be a fighter wearing silk pajamas or something.
Yeah. He said it's hard to get up in the morning time and run when you're wearing silk pajamas. Back when you're a hungry fighter, you'll get up at 4:00 and do your 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. But when you got all that money, man, you see that sun coming up, you look at your watch or you look at your clock, that snooze, and you're going to see if that sun's still going to beat you up. And I can see how that happens. That's when the discipline comes in. And someone like Floyd, when you hear the stories of him working out at 2:00 in the morning, 1:00 in the morning, I think a lot of that happened after Paul Spadafora got him at that one point and showed him his vulnerability.
He got caught slipping. And this ain't gonna happen ever again.
Even though even though he was coming into the gym without having a fight coming up and he was a little bit out of shape, Paul Spadafora gave him the beats, man. And you can make any excuse you want, you can say what you want. Those are not even really excuses, those are legit, but it happened. And I know in his mind played it over and over with his ego.
That happens because some fighters need that wake-up call. I get fighters that they really think they're good and this and that, and you never know who's in that gym training. You never know in this and that. And I had a couple times my good fighters get beat up and get a bloody nose and this and that, and I smile and they're like, "Why are you happy, Coach?" I said, "Well, now it's letting you know that you got to train. There's somebody always hungry out there. There's somebody always working. You gotta keep your game up, and that's the problem with so many guys. And right now with the Canelo fight, I see him as this is his last hurrah, and that's the only reason I give him a little edge. But Crawford, I know he's gonna keep fighting. He reminds me, like Bernard Hopkins. He's just gonna keep fighting until there's not a challenge anymore.
All right, you guys gave your predictions. I'm going to give mine. I'm gonna take Bud as long as he doesn't get robbed by the judges. 12 round decision. I just think, he controls distance so well. His footwork is impeccable. And if he brings that jackhammer jab that he used on Spence, people saying Canelo's bigger, he's stronger, he's fought bigger guys. But if that sharp, hard jab is sticking him in the face, it's going to throw his game plan off. And I think this fight may play out a lot like Buster Douglas versus Tyson, where Canelo's trying and trying, and he just doesn't land that one shot. And he may buzz Bud at one point, but I think Bud's going to be so focused like Buster was that night, he's not going to be denied. If these guys were the same height, same weight, fighting in the same weight class, nobody would pick Canelo to win. Nobody.
And that's probably true, especially at this point in his career.
So I'm going with Bud. I'm Team Crawford. I think he's going to pull it off. I'm not saying Canelo can't win. Obviously, he can. He has the power.
Everything
but
says he should win.
If he fights like he has been fighting, taking his time, trying to set traps, Bud's not stupid. He's not going to fall for your trap so you can land the one-hitter quitter. That's not happening.
Now, I wonder, does Canelo go into this fight and do what he had done to Amir Khan when everybody who talks about it now think that Amir Khan busted him up a little bit or outboxed him? He allowed that to happen because he knew he can just open up the cork at
He
one
was
point
biding his time.
Exactly. He just buying his time, and then he's going to knock him out anyway because Amir Khan, regardless of where he's at in the fight, he's able to get knocked out. And all Canelo did was walk through him. He took the shots and got the oohs and ahs from the crowd and all that, but when he decided to close the show, he closed the show and ended the fight. I don't think Bud is going to do that.
Crawford's a different animal.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Crawford's not going to stand and let him do it.
Even at 160, I would give it to Crawford. It's just the 8 pounds more that he's putting in. That's the only reason that I see a must win for Canelo. And if this is his last hurrah, which I believe it is, because everybody knows he's losing a step or two, but he has that puncher's chance. And what I think, and I don't know if he could do it, is if you land enough body shots, you're going to slow somebody down, especially with all that weight. Now, if Crawford is moving, he's on point. You're right. That jab is gonna cut up Canelo.
And not just the jabs, the check hooks, the uppercuts he throws. He's got everything.
Those angles, man.
He got
his toolbox is a fucking shed of instruments.
That's it. He does it. And you know what? And with going back to his wrestling strength and even the background of a wrestler, I can see him inside just being able to tie him up. He can do his damage and tie him up. He can make it look ugly, but still be effective enough to do his job and look good doing it, but then tying him up. Fans might get a little restless, not wanting to see him tie him up and getting upset about it. But I think he does have the hand speed. He has the angles because he can do the southpaw and the orthodox thing at one time or another. And he has the footwork. So I think he can throw 3 or 4 punch combination and then step back, 3 or 4 punch combination, then clinch. Having that wrestling background, knowing how to maneuver, man, having that core strength and being able to position himself. I think that's cool. And then not only that, being able to just have that decided position the way he could throw that inside uppercut. Now, Canelo could do a lot, but how about Canelo taking body shots? Who's ever really went to ever gone to his body? I haven't seen too many times that happening.
I think Coach made a good point earlier, saying that Canelo might be surprised by Bud's strength. What happens if Bud is consistently walking him down, not walking him down, as in the sense of fighters moving and just keeping the pressure on them, but like when they're in close and pushing them back. If Canelo can't move Bud and he's consistently getting pushed back because Bud is stronger, there's going to be shit going on in his head because that hasn't happened before.
But then you also look at
trust me, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Crawford, that core straight, and I tell this to a lot of people, is so much. How long could he do it for? I don't know, but he's going to get bullied. I guarantee you about that. Crawford, he looks like an animal. So, but how could he keep it up? That'd be great, but it's going to happen.
But check this out. I'm thinking a deciding factor could be at some point in this fight, Bud is going to get hit harder than he's ever been hit in a fight. And that's not going to be the same case for Canelo. No matter what Bud brings to the table, his hardest shot isn't going to be harder than what Canelo's felt in the past from Triple G or even B-Ball for that matter, catching them with sharp punches. Now, the sharp punches could be the reason why, because those shots that you don't see are the ones that
it's the punch that he may not see.
Exactly. The punch that you don't see is the one that can buzz you. And because of that footwork and changing the angle, and because you can switch stance, that can put you in a position to where you could hit that shot that's not seen. And not to mention, Canelo hasn't really fought well defensively like he did, at least against Triple G, when he did a lot of waist movement, bending at the waist and slipping punches. He hadn't done that in a while now. He doesn't look sharp doing that. I used to really like and enjoy his defensive posturing when he was slipping and ducking, and you can stay right in front of him. I'm like, damn, this dude hit. He's hard to hit. Then he'll counter you. He'll counter like hell. But part of getting older and part of kind of losing your reflexes, being an older fighter, is exactly this. Now, I'm hoping that he doesn't get old overnight, because it takes away from what Bud, if Bud does win. I hope he looks a lot like people remember, at least at the latter part of what he's doing. And Bud, if he's going to win, wins because of that, in spite of that.
It'll be a better fight, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody's going to have to get some resolve. I think Bud more than Canelo. Canelo so much has been there and done that. Not that Bud hasn't been there and done that before, but Canelo's done it so often. 67 fights says he's done it a whole damn lot.
I also think regardless of the outcome Saturday night, we got to give Bud a lot of credit. He's going for all-time greatness. He didn't enforce a rehydration clause.
Nothing.
All that BS that Tank Davis does and that Floyd did, and it's just a straight-up fight. You come in how you come in. I'm coming how I'm coming. Let's go. You got to tip your hat to that.
Well, yeah, but people don't understand. I think Canelo's the A side, so he's the one that
he is.
He's the one that
says seats
on the contracts. Yeah, that what's going to happen with that thing. I didn't think it was up to Crawford, because I think Crawford just wanted to fight, and he says, "Hey, put whatever you want on the contract."
That's what I'm saying. Like he does. It doesn't matter. You come in 200 pounds for all I care. I'm going to fight you.
Right.
So Saul Gutierrez says, "Well, Canelo the king." Well, hey, you know what? He's been king for quite some time, at least at this weight class. Bivol kind of knocked the crown over his head. But
he's been holding the division hostage, man.
Yeah, that Benavidez fight, it's almost a shame, but I'm almost back in the camp of saying, damn, man, he's fought so many people. Look at his resume. It just speaks for itself, to the point to where, I would love to see the Benavidez fight. They're coexisting, so there's no reason why they shouldn't fight, kind of like Bo and Lennox Lewis. But, man, he's done enough, man. He could get away with it.
So why do you think he hasn't fought Benavidez, Coach?
We all know why he hasn't fought Benavidez. Come on, dude. The punch count, the move, his physical appearance. That's, you know what? I tell my fighters, right? If I'm going to manage you, if I'm going to coach you, my job is to make sure that you could fight guys that you got an 80% chance of winning, right? If there's a monster out there, this is the thing. My job is to avoid it. How many guys did Floyd avoid? You got to be a good businessman. You just don't go out there and fight everybody.
Williams.
There's monsters out there. There's people that people don't even know about that are training hard, and you avoid these people.
So you're saying he's really ducking Benavidez?
Oh, 100%.
Now, Coach, is it Canelo?
See, my thing is, I won't say he's afraid of Benavidez, but I think he knows he's going to have to go to a place that he may have never been before. And is he ready to put in that kind of work, that kind of commitment, that kind of focus? That might be a kind of hell I don't need right now.
Okay, I'll tell you something. I met Canelo when he fought Floyd Mayweather. We were in Vegas. We had the Golden Gloves going on. Canelo's a small guy. People don't understand. He's only like 5'8". So
5'7".
5'7". Dude, when he walked across, because they had the bars, and Floyd said, "Hey, Coach," because he remembered me from the Olympics. He brought me over, and I got to stand, pretty close to him and Canelo, and I could not believe how smart Canelo is. He looks huge on TV, but he's not a big guy, man. But Benavidez is a monster. What they call him, the Mexican monster.
That's what he is. That's what Mike Tyson called him. But Coach, you're talking about he was back then when he fought Mayweather. He came in at 152, which was even below the 154 limit. Floyd made him lose that last 2 pounds to come down at 152. This now, he's been at 168 for some time, and that was at a time when he wasn't completely fully grown. He's now grown. He was still a young kid, didn't get into his fighter weight. I think being at 168 and even going up to light heavyweight is more of what you have stature-wise. That bone structure you talked about, Coach, really matters, and I think he filled out that bone structure because he was a young fighter at that time. Now he's a seasoned fighter. That bone structure is complete. There is no more to grow other than being retired and getting fat.
Yeah, but he's if he's fighting, the Mexican monster dude.
Oh,
Look at the bone structure on that kid. That kid
Yeah,
right now, if he wants, he could be the cruiserweight champion of the world. He's just
he said he's willing to take on. He's willing to take on Benavidez. He said, yeah, bro, and I believe him. David Benavidez doesn't play games. If he says he wants to fight you, the dude fight you.
That's fireworks right there, man. I'd love to see it.
Well, somebody was talking about Crawford fighting Benavidez. Like I said, the bone structure right there is.
Now
he's a big dude, man. He's a big guy.
No, I wouldn't have advised him to do it.
I wouldn't either. Nope.
But if Bud's got that mindset, he wants to be on Mount Rushmore. If he beats Canelo and then Benavidez,
oh my God,
you got to push him, shoot him up the rankings, man. You got to shoot him up the rankings. He shouldn't be doing it. He's a former 130 pounder, man. He shouldn't be fighting a 168 pound guy.
I mean,
and if he fought
you talked about
Hopkins, 168 or 175, because it's like Benavidez.
You talked about Hopkins fighting forever.
Hopkins?
After Coach did, after he lost to Jermaine Taylor, I thought he beat him, but whatever. He moved up and dominated pretty much everybody. Tarver,
Antonio Tarver, Kelly Pavlik.
Yeah, it was like his skill level was levels above everybody else, man. Didn't matter that he was 40.
He had guile,
That's
the only way I could come with guile.
Yeah, but he was
doing it.
Like I said, there's some bad dudes out there.
He wasn't even the quickest around. He wasn't the strongest, the most powerful. But he was smart, man. He had skills.
He came up the hard way.
And experience.
And I've said it before. I watched B-Hop when he was in his fourth fight. He fought a friend of mine, Iceman Eddie Tyler, back in 1990 in Atlantic City. It was at the Sands Hotel. I was there. That was the first time I ever was behind the scenes of a professional fight. And I didn't know the business side of boxing back then. I was 18 years old. So I'm thinking, Ice is going to beat him. In fact, the headline of that fight that night was a kid named John Duplessis out of New Orleans. And he ended up getting a knockout. And Iceman ended up being the swing fight. It was on BET. It was Butch Lewis and Michael Spinks were the promoters. So I didn't know anything about swing fights. I didn't know anything about – I thought the best man just won. Man, I didn't know how orchestrated everything was. And he ended up fighting him. He beats him in the first round. He beats my boy in the first round. I'm almost crying in the ring. Like, what just happened?
That's another thing that it's hard to explain to parents and fighters that there's levels in boxing. You can be the baddest dude in that gym. You can be this and that. When you go and fight a high caliber fighter, there's just levels, man. People just don't understand. Well, if a guy who's been around, who has a great amateur background or who has national competition or international competition, you're fighting a whole nother dog, man. There's so many levels to this game. It's not even funny.
Coach, do you remember Furman Chirino?
No, but wait.
He fought Matthew Hilton. It was a draw. But I remember because Matthew Hilton used to be my guy. And I had a chance to spar with him in New York at the Times Square gym. I told my coach over and over, I want to spar with him. He was like, no, you don't want to spar from me. He's one of these almost upside down guys. You look at the record, you think as a kid, you look at the record like, bro, come on, man. And, I got a little buzz going at the time of the gym. So I'm like, I can handle this dude, bro. He let me spar one round with this dude. I couldn't do nothing with him, nothing. This is a dude that people would say, he's a bum. Yeah, all right, get in there with him, see what he does. I mean, he wasn't even trying to hurt. He would just show you that he had more skills than you. He's this trial horse fighter. They call trial horses. Guy that he's never going to be a champ. And he got a tie with freaking Matthew Hilton, who was a hell of a fighter at one point. But yeah, that's one of the memories I have. It wasn't the greatest memory, but at least at that time, let you realize that this game has so many levels to it. If you beating up dudes in the sparring or you looking good at sparring and people oohing and eyeing, the dude next to you is the one who's going to school your ass and show you how, you're just another dude out there, man. Keep on working.
Yeah, that's funny that you said that. I went and sparred with Mike Evans. I found out at the time he knocked out Mike Tyson, but he was just a decent pro. And, man, he put me in the hospital. He ended up cutting me over both of my eyes, and I could not believe a dude could hit that hard in my life. And I remember it was like one of the few times I went to Windy City Gym when I was an amateur. and I was sparring with the pros just to get better. And you hit it on the nose. He's didn't have a great boxing record, but man, he was just hitting me at will.
Bro, and the way it is, man, when you get in there, now, you gotta love these freaking fighters that we sit back, like even Canelo and right now with Bud. You gotta just love what they're doing when you kind of put your foot in the door or got in the ring, and it just didn't look the way it looked on television for everybody else. I sparred this kid named Knock, 140 pounds, 9-4, and I'm like, bro, it's on. Man, I hit this dude everything I had. I'm trying to knock him out. I'm only 18, trying to get the knockout in the sparring session. People was like, yeah. You hear that crap. Then my man said, yeah, that's the way I like it. When I was tired, after the first 30 seconds a minute, he said, yeah, that's the way I like it. And I was like, oh, you just nutted up. That dude threw everything but the damn kitchen sink, man. After that sparring session was over, I walked down the stairs and felt like clouds, man. Like I was missing a step. Like a damn.
Yeah, I ain't going home with my ears ringing. Trust me.
Oh, so yeah, you see that light?
Yeah.
You see that freaking
You see the lights too, yeah. That's why when I coach a lot of guys, I like to stop my fights, especially when the kids are getting hit hard. And a lot of parents are like, no, he's a tough kid. I said, dude, if you're getting hit and it's slipping off your head, that's cool. But if you take it and you can hear that pounding, it's time to stop. And people don't understand that. There's two different. I could have guys, box 10 rounds, and if they're not hurting each other, I let it go. But after 2 or 3 rounds where guys are just popping that head, I stop it right away. And parents, they don't understand that this game is it's a whole lot different than what you see on TV. They just think the kids are going to be tough. No, you're just hurting your kid. So, guys, my battery's going to die. So I don't know if we're done.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I was about to say, let's recap. We got 2 for Crawford and 1 for Canelo.
Yes,
That's
sir.
you, Coach. Thank you for joining us.
You got
really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And good luck.
Take care, guys.
Good luck to both fighters.
We'll see if you get that $100, man.
I'm putting $100 down on Bud, man. I swear, I hope I get something for it, man. But hey, I think it was plus 136 the last time I checked. Let's try to get some money. But anyways,
yeah, I stopped betting a long time ago.
No,
that's just my prediction.
Boy, I don't know. Is AJ a Hall of Famer?
No.
Excuse me?
Anthony Joshua.
AJ,
is he a Hall of Famer?
Joshua, is he a Hall of Famer? I say no.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think so.
He shouldn't be.
That's 3 thumbs down. No.
For real, man.
Nice
question, guys. Good night. Have a good one.
Coach.
All right, Coach.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that's going to leave us behind. Well, we can close this up now. We didn't have all the guests we wanted tonight, but we got a nice, substantive boxing talking about this fight that's coming up on Saturday. We're going to have our fight party to go along with it, just in case you want to stop by. There will be a link to it, or you can check out our video. It'll be live anyhow, so you can step in and watch the fight along with us. It's on Netflix, so this is a new age boxing thing.
I got one thing to say, non-boxing. Caleb Williams, I'm this far from being done with you.
This guy.
This far. All right. I got my order.
Tyson Bagent in the house.
I got it in the cart. All I got to do is click place order for my Tyson Bagent jersey. This dude.
Bro, he looked good in the beginning, bro. Good.
Yes, he'll look amazing rolling out, hitting the wide receiver by the sideline. Not a lot of guys can do that. But so many people can do what he can't do. He can't sit in the pocket and hit an open receiver.
He's a wide open receiver.
You got DJ Moore running to the corner, nobody within 10 yards, and you throw the ball out of bounds 10 yards over his head. Come on, man. If you can't throw from the pocket, you can't be an NFL quarterback. Caleb Williams, you gotta show me something else. I'm this close to being done. I ain't shut the door yet, but I'm damn close.
And props to JJ McCarthy for figuring things out by the end of the game. I was thinking this guy shouldn't have been a first-round pick. I still believe that, but hell, he has a nice skill set. He's still able to run, even after the little meniscus, not little, it's a meniscus injury that kept him out for the season. And he got a little better with his passing. Now, and the Bears' defense was playing well in the beginning. Their offense was clicking. Swift still had problems finding running room. That's what it came down to. He had some problems finding running room. I don't know what the hell is going on.
They did not address the offensive line.
They talked about those new guys they got.
They brought in new older guys. They brought in new guys who were injured, guys who lost their starting job last season. Wasn't an upgrade from what they had? Probably. But that doesn't mean it's good.
Because Swift was
There's
running
no way they
hard.
should have drafted Loveland at 9, man. You got to address your O line or D line, and that was painfully obvious the other day. They couldn't open holes. They got pressure once in a while, but when they really needed pressure, when they really needed a play from the defense in the second half, the fourth quarter, nothing. They just got punked. 21 points in the fourth quarter to a rookie quarterback, never played a game before.
Yep.
Come on,
Unbelievable.
man.
I was surprised. I was shocked. I mean, he took off last season, not because he wanted to, he was injured. But it looks like he's gonna have an interesting career so far because he is a running quarterback. He can still put
Wait. He's claiming Panic in Chi-Town. I got receipts.
Panic in Gainesville.
Jaden Daniels. I said it months before the draft.
Yep.
I said it on the draft night when we had our live feed. I've been saying it since then, before game 1, and I said it all of last season, and I'm still saying it. I wanted Jaden Daniels. There's no panic here, bro.
Man, well, I think that the team looked better. It's just a matter of putting this stuff together and keeping consistent, man, because if they play even the beginning and middle of the game the way they played the beginning, bro, that's enough to win a lot of these games in the NFC.
Those plays were scripted. It looked great with the scripted
bro,
plays.
His arm, bro. He got the arm strength. I didn't realize his arm was that strong, bro. He was throwing some hot ones.
But if you look at that first drive, most of the passes were either in the flat or check downs. When he throws the ball downfield, he misses his targets.
Yeah, well, I saw that part too. Damn. Didn't he miss that pass right in the middle? Kind of threw it just a little too high. Damn.
He missed a few. He missed a bunch of passes.
Yeah, it's like the second half was a different half, but he was a completely different play in terms of accuracy. He was hot. Didn't he complete like 10 of his first 11 or something like that? And then
he was 10 for 10.
Yeah, he was hot. He was freaking hot.
Who's balling out? Who's balling out in Chi-Town? JJ McCarthy? Justin Jefferson? Speaking of Justin Jefferson, so after the game, I'm watching SportsCenter, because I'm agitated. I can't go to bed, and, I'm trying to unwind. And Justin Jefferson joins Scott Van Pelt, and Van Pelt says, "So you're still undefeated in this stadium." I'm like, great, that's all I needed to hear. Justin Jefferson has never lost on the road playing the Bears. Come on, man. What are we doing?
Man, I think that it came, and by how about those damn offensive line penalties, man?
They had 12 penalties for like 140 yards.
I'm serious, more than a football field and a half.
For 12 penalties, dude.
She almost a football field and a half of penalties. How the hell are you going to win? And it still came down to that. Well, anyway, they could probably get this stuff together. Maybe
Bailey?
Ben Johnson has something for them in practice, making them do sprints, kind of like Syracuse did after the game on Saturday when they made them do sprints after the game.
That's another thing. When they showed Ben Johnson on the sideline, you could see the frustration on his face. He's taking deep breaths like, I don't fucking believe this shit.
For sure.
I was like, believe it. We saw it all last season, bro.
Welcome to the next season of a lot of the same. I'm thinking that he's going to get
Groundhog Day.
I was
Groundhog
impressed, though,
season every year.
I was impressed in the beginning. But hell, we get a chance to talk
we're
about
over
that.
an hour, man. Let's
say we can talk about that on Monday and talk about the fight going by the results. Hell, you never know. Since we're going to be watching it, we might want to do a little something after that damn fight, so we don't got to talk about it as much on Monday. We can dedicate it to football. Anyway,
barely water because the ship is sinking. I got my finger to plug the hole right now, but more might pop
in the dike. Well,
anyway,
I'm trying.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
That's right, Sports Back Bros. Calling time out until Monday. Well, Saturday, if you want to watch the live fight party we're going to have. But until then, deuces.